Hello, beautiful wild woman. Welcome back to this beautiful space in the Wild Woman podcast. Here in this space, we are always traveling in the pursuit of depth, truth, and inner wisdom. And today's episode is no different from that. We are going to dig into this gorgeous challenge I did, which is called 75 Hard. So I have mentioned this already throughout my podcasting here, that I'm doing this challenge. And most likely, if you're very curious, you already have Googled what it is. I did my own version of it. So I committed myself to, for 75 days straight, to do walk a day that is minimum 45 minutes long, to do one workout a day, which is minimum 45 minutes long. Workout meaning any movement, really, either it's a stretch, yoga, extra walk, bike ride, gym session, whatever it could be. Then I committed myself to holding on to a certain diet, or like keeping myself on that diet, which didn't happen, but more of that later. And then I committed myself doing a meditation and visualization a day and writing out a daily to-do list. So this was my commitment to myself. Oh, and reading, to read minimum 30 pages a day. And here's how it went. So let me already jump ahead a little bit and say that if I would have done this journey a few years ago, my conclusions would have been that, okay, you just failed. That was no freaking challenge. You didn't actually do it. What the hell was that? Try again. But now when I'm much more mature, I have matured so much over the past few years, and I've really practiced taking pride in that, because that's something to truly be proud of, like emotional maturing and like actually living like this wild woman, rather than just like wanting to live like this, understanding the concepts but not truly embodying it, and still beating yourself up over your weight or your quirks or something like that. Like this is not the vibe. I want to feel juicy, wholesome, energetic, like full of vitality, healthy, in tune with myself, and also like sexy, glowy. I want all of that. I am truly a woman. I want it all. I want the cake and eat it too. And so now my conclusions were very, very different. So I guess my what I want to say is, like, we tend to romanticize these challenges and kind of imagine how this is going to be, and this is going to be the next best thing, but our takeaways can be something that we didn't expect, but with the open mind and with the growth mindset, we can have the takeaways that serve us for life. And that's, I think, what happened to me. I feel like I finally have switched gears and changed energies, and also healed a lot of like this vibe from the bodybuilding years that I went through, because that was very, very strong time, like very restrictive time. I learned a lot throughout this time, but also a lot of the habits that were ingrained into me since that time were very hard to kind of let go. And I feel like 75 Hard truly finally made a switch for me, because it lasted long enough. And I feel like that length, that commitment to myself, was a huge part of like me being so extremely successful in the challenge, but not necessarily successful in the way that I did everything. So let me go into it, and all by kind of like category, like how things changed for me. First thing, meditation and daily visualization, that was the first thing that went out the window. That was like, I think happened in the first week or so. I was like, hell no. I feel like at this stage of my life, I'm always in some sort of trance. I do a lot of like work with women. We are always like in this hypnotic state, in meditative state, because we work with the unconscious. So I'm always in this trance. I'm always kind of like in this twilight zone. And I feel like if I force myself daily then to meditate, it's just didn't feel right. Plus, I've really practiced over the past few years to my life to be as close to almost like meditation already. So let's say if I go for a shower, I want this to feel like a meditation, not like this rushed procedure that you just have to go through every day. If I'm I don't know, vacuuming the floor. I want to feel like I'm doing it with pride and gratitude that I have a home to vacuum instead of just like throwing the Dyson around and thinking like, oh my God, what a waste of time this is. I've always wanted a more meaningful, soulful life. So, and everyday meditation just didn't fit that bill for me at the moment. It felt forced, and I feel like I'm pretty good in that department already. However, I did practice a little bit more visualization on the positive side, because one of my 2025 goals has been to really practice faith in all areas possible, and visualization has been a big part for me. And but it wasn't like a forced everyday practice, just I allowed this to happen more often than I would have otherwise, let's put it that way. To-do list writing kept me focused, and every day I had like a list of things for 75 hard that I had to tick off. That list was always written on every day, like I had a square in, like I drew up a calendar. And every day was like individual square with a little list to tick off in that little square. And that was very satisfying to do that. So I did that, and also sometimes to-do list for like everything outside of the challenge as well. And just keeps me focused, and there's a way higher chance getting things done if you do write it out. This is how at least my system works. And I, even today, before I jump on recording this podcast, I wrote myself a to-do list to keep myself focused through the rest of the day, because days just tend to fly by. And I want to keep my focus, right? Then workout a day. This was something that I would say it was maybe like 70%. I want to say I completed. So let's say maybe like out of 75 days, maybe like 50 extra workouts I got in, which sounds crazy, right? Like, it depends which you look at it. If the original challenge of 75 hard is that you if you've missed anything that you committed yourself to, or what's in that like list of the traditional 75 hard challenge, you start from day one again. If anything you missed there, or if anything you failed to do, I didn't go that route. I decided I'm going to keep going. It's still like if I stuffed up on something day 15, next day was still day 16. And I feel so proud that I did that, because it actually allowed myself to like find some growth in it, find some lessons, and keep moving forward, which I'm all about. And workouts are an important part of that. Reading was something that I truly enjoyed. I changed between different books and just put a timer on and literally just read for 30 minutes. And I was very surprised how short is my attention span sometimes. You know, when I went to uni, you're used to sitting down for hours and focusing into reading and writing long essays and working on something with your mind and completely forgetting about time passing. But like that digital age and social media is really stuffing up our dopamine centers, I think, and dopamine response from the body. So we want something to change really often and be like a lot of stimulation. So just sitting down with the book, that took me a while to like wait until this 30 minutes is over. At first, I'm going to tell you, it was not easy. But now I feel like I even bought myself randomly, like past weekend now, a pretty fancy, nice leather handbag. And I was thinking to myself, why I didn't like think it was worth buying one before. And I realized like I didn't have a lot of things to carry around, but now I'm thinking I need a water bottle, I need a book, I need a like space for my reading classes, like where I'm going to put all this stuff, and this little tiny little leather pouch or just phone in my hand and keys in the other hand is just not going to cut it anymore. And I realized my lifestyle has changed. I need like a proper nice bag that goes with every outfit and fits all my stuff, because book is now one of those things I take everywhere, and whatever book it may be that I'm reading. So I've really enjoyed getting into reading more, and I learned a ton like through all this reading. There's this book I've been reading for like such a long time, and I advanced so much in it. I expected it to be done by the end of the challenge. I'm not done, but how much I moved ahead with it, it's just incredible. So, and noticing this lifestyles change, that I need a bigger handbag because I need all this stuff in it, that's like definite sign of something in my unconscious has truly shifted, that I made this realization after. So it wasn't like this forced, like, okay, I'm going to be now reading every day, so I need a nice bag to put my book in. It was like I bought the bag after, out of already necessity being there. So that's pretty incredible. And morning walk, that was something I completely fell in love with. I feel like I did it, I would say like 85-90% of the time. It was very few times where I missed it, or I did it a little bit shorter than I committed myself to. And now what has happened, I actually walk longer than in the beginning, but or what I committed myself to. But in the beginning, let me tell you, this starting to do these things, the novelty wears off really fast. First week is like a breeze. You're like, yeah, I'm doing it all. Look at me go. This is going to be so good. And when you actually start calculating how freaking long is 75 days, it's like 2.5 months. And it's just felt at sometimes like infinity, and I regretted like sometimes like, oh my God, why did I start doing this? Like this, and I now can't stop because I've committed myself. I've told everyone that I'm doing it, and also I created a tiny wolf pack of women who were doing the challenge in their own way with me. So I put a little shout out to my social media before I started, and some women joined, and we had this like accountability group essentially, and that kept me going way more than you might think. Just someone that is there with you, because I started the whole thing. You kind of expect yourself then to follow through. And also seeing other women posting into the group like, yes, I just went to Pilates, I just done a mountain climb, I just done my meal prep for the week. That was incredible for me. And having like these women there sharing their stuff, especially in the first couple of weeks, it was very, very important, because I think in the second week, somewhere there, I felt like I had like crazy jet lag. I don't know what happened in my body. There was some sort of symptoms going on. I felt like a train wreck, honestly. Like the closest I can describe to is if you have like, you do like a massive travel across the globe and you land in a different time zone, and your sleeping schedule is all over the place, and you're deprived from pretty much everything that you normally need in your life. And this physical sick feeling is just in your body that like really nothing relieves it. It's just time and water and bath and rest, and you just have to wait it out really until your body adjusts. That really hit me, and it took a few days. I just felt like hell, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you. That happened in the beginning. Was it because of the challenge? Was it because something else? Who can tell? But I think it was the extra movement. It just took a lot from my body to get used to with the extra movement, because that was one thing. I wanted some sort of shift. I wanted some sort of change, because I was working out like hours and hours and hours a day, a week, so much activity in my life before. When I was a personal trainer and in bodybuilding, and I was completely obsessed with this world and I loved it so much. But when I decided to stop, it was a full stop. I done very little movement. I done very little training. I gained a lot of weight, which I'm not mad about, but it's more like how you feel in your body. And at some point I felt like I don't think it's so empowering to me anymore. And I wanted that change, because every now and then I still felt like I wanted to drop back into this bodybuilding way of life where everything is accounted for. You do your diet in a very restrictive way, that you count your calories, you weigh your food. And part of me really loved this, but there was a huge part of me by now that hated this completely, and all I could do is hold on to it for a very little time, and then it was out the window, and I felt failed a lot of the time. And it was this very like I would say, unhealthy way of living or eating, that if I wasn't counting calories, everything was go. And that's just not the vibe anymore. If there's one thing that this challenge truly helped me understand, was my eating. And at first I did commit myself to certain like calories. I'm a nutritionist, so I'm very good at calculating all and understanding all of that. And I worked this macros out for myself. I did this very like a good plan for myself, but it's just like something within me is just like, I can't, I won't, and it's not for me, because I think now my emotional maturity is asking like, then what? What is happening after however long you have done this like calorie counting for? Like what did you actually learn? You're rather going back, or you're staying stagnant. There is no evolution towards this wild woman nature in this aspect of your life. And now I feel like naturally throughout this challenge, what I did instead, like I went through so many different phases and chapters of eating through this 2.5 months. But I had this, again, like a spiritual moment one day when I wasn't feeling that great. Because throughout that time I went through like a quite emotional roller coaster as well. And all the life happened while I was on this challenge, right, on this new program. But one time I remember I was in my bathroom, and I think I was stepping out of the shower, and it was almost like this, not almost, but it was this message from my body. I heard these words in my head, inside of me, where my body was telling me, I am so done digesting what you are not kind of admitting to yourself, or what you're not working through. And that moment, something truly changed in me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I have been using my body as this part of me, this trash can that needs to take everything. If I'm angry at someone, the anger sits in my body. I want to feel better, so I overeat, or I eat something that I wouldn't if I wouldn't be angry. I eat way more than I need. I eat way more often than I need. I choose the type of food that is not necessarily good for me, but it makes me feel good. And I've always said I'm an emotional eater, and I thought like, it is what it is. I'm admitting this to myself, it's fine, until your body literally tells you like, I'm fucking done, honestly. I don't want any more to process things for you. It's up to you to carry that part of yourself, and that awareness, that intelligence, that responsibility, instead of constantly forcing me to eat it up literally and just keep serving you. And that message came through with such kindness, and in that type of moment that I was able to hear it, receive it. And in the spirit of this challenge, I was so aware, and like I was contemplating these topics, and I was in such a zone with my own body that it felt like, honestly, like God was speaking to me. Like it was crazy, that experience. And since then, when it comes to my eating, I finally understand what does it mean when people say everything in moderation. Because now I rely on my intuition, in my body signals, which is, your body signals is intuition, in my opinion. Your body is communicating energy to you, body is communicating something to you all the time and all hours of the day. And now that's what I'm using. I'm eating very like normally, I would say, but I use this very strong body response system, this feedback system, and in the conclusion of that, I eat less. and I eat in different times. I've always been very much like a morning person, so I decent breakfast or two is like my thing, but I've stopped eating most of the time, most of the days in the afternoon, unless I'm extremely busy throughout the day. Then I won't starve myself in the evening. But naturally, as the day starts to come to an end, my appetite goes down, and I don't need to like sit down in front of the TV with a tub of ice cream or with like some sort of snacks or chips or Doritos or something like that. I can just sit there and give myself a break and give my body a rest. And I'm still working all the kinks out, but that God sent message of like eating like to your body's needs, not to your emotional needs, and not forcing your body to be this team member of everything that I am, that constantly overworking and is under a lot of stress and carrying the weight of everything that other team members of me are not doing, are not carrying their own responsibility. It's not fair on the body. And that for me is freaking life-changing. And in that sense, what also changed is like I have kind of like cut down a lot of things that create any physical change in my body. I really appreciate if I have a meal and it doesn't really change how I feel about myself. It doesn't make me feel tired. It doesn't make me feel sluggish. It doesn't make me feel like jittery, or like it doesn't really change how I feel. It's just supporting me and it's like enhancing what I was already doing. But like that means the portions and amounts and certain things needed to change in my diet, and that happened so naturally once that message landed. For example, I barely have any caffeine at the moment anymore. I think coffee is one of those things that is romanticized a lot. In social media, you see everyone with a coffee cup in their hands. It's just the thing you do. You go out for a coffee, and caffeine has been spoken about a lot. I feel like I've been a little bit like brain fried from it. That's what you do every day. You just have a coffee. And honestly, I love having coffee. I crave coffee, but what I crave is the flavor of it. What it actually does to my body, I hate it and I don't like it at all. It makes me feel like something, I don't know, then I need to do something after because I had a coffee, and it's been so hard for me to find that nice amount of coffee and that balance of coffee. You go out, you order yourself a tiny cappuccino with half a shot and you still feel like shit after, and I just could not like work it out. And you know what's the magic word here? Decaf. Go out, have your cappuccino, order a decaf. Oh my gosh. And after a few weeks of not having coffee at all, I was even careful with the decaf earlier. I had like maybe half a little cappuccino in the beginning to see like, is it really decaf or is it like less caffeine than usual but still caffeinated? And it's so brilliant. You can have your beautiful cappuccino. It is actually virtually no caffeine in it. At least I don't feel anything. And my body is a freaking caffeine detector. Or even some sort of tea that has more caffeine in it than, I don't know, peppermint tea. I cannot finish this tea, or even if I do finish, I'm not going to enjoy what follows. So it's been amazing for me to have decaf, and like again, like taking out of the thing that stimulates my body into something that I don't want to be stimulated in. Again, life changing, because it takes me out of this cycle of like, now I'm feeling a certain way, now I have to eat or drink or do something after to fix this. And it's a constant like, something is always around my food, my intake of something. And it might sound pretty crazy for you, but let me tell you, I come with pretty stuffed up patterns when it comes to eating and all of that. My anxiety truly like took me so far from what would healthy wild woman lifestyle would be. So this is all like a natural evolution for me, and constantly working these kinks out. And I'm so proud of that. I don't want to be completely transparent with it, share this stuff with you, and maybe you pick up something for yourself, or even the attitude of like going for a challenge, but not to do all the things in a challenge perfectly, but to listen to yourself through the challenge more and actually change what you could learn from it, rather than only thing you learned that you failed at it. All these things already, the food, the caffeine, these things are life-changing for me. Then what I want to say about the workouts and the walks, like I did a lot of it, and walking is still what I'm gonna keep up at the moment. Like I've completed the challenge by now. By the day of recording and posting this podcast, I have completed the challenge now, maybe like 5 days ago. But every single day since it finished, I have going for a morning walk. I have been going for a morning walk. One thing from moving forward though, I am going to leave weekends a bit freer, because on the weekends I don't want to stress out over like stomping around my hometown and like kind of like committing myself to doing that. It's just sometimes not a fit. I much more would love to go for a beach walk with my husband and not worry how many steps or how much time it took, how long I was there, did I complete what I committed myself to, and like, because I enjoy that more and that suits me more. It's more doable. It's long-term benefit, long-term success if I leave the weekends for kind of, I see how I feel and what happens, because on the weekends I'm more active anyway. Throughout the weekdays I'm very sedentary, and my work with women is this long healing sessions. I sit a lot. It's very quiet, hypnotic, that type of work. So, and I love it so much, but I want to balance it out with movement, and starting my mornings with long walks is amazing. And the progression of this is that I had this feeling, particularly last couple of weeks of the challenge, that I want to actually jog a bit. And I was thinking, surely not. That's a weird feeling. Like I have this feeling in my body, like, yeah, let's run for a bit instead of walking. And I felt like, what? Like I thought that type of drive and motivation will never find me again. But I actually started jogging a little bit. And I had a little spiritual moment with this too. There was this one morning very recently when I was on the beach with my husband, and my hubby came to me, just turned to me and said, I'm going to go sit on that rock for a minute and just do a little meditation, just to take a moment for myself and reset my vibe. And I was like, wow, that's pretty proud moment for all of us. Like, that sounds so good. Go for it. Yeah, do that. And I was eating at the time like my chocolate drizzle popcorn, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm chomping away at that. And I was thinking, I don't think I need a meditation. But then like this little notification almost like popped through, and I heard this voice in my head, oh no, we have a message for you. And I was like, okay, put my popcorn aside and just close my eyes as well, and just there listening to the ocean waves and just tuned in for a moment with myself. And the message was very simple. And I heard these words, this voice telling me, see how you've been feeling that you want to jog a little bit? Well, jog then. Very simple. And now last weekend I went out, bought myself another pair of very good workout tights that has pockets, and very good pair of running shoes, because I was really, the situation with my walking shoes that are good for my knees was very poor. And now realizing how many hours I actually now do walk and even sometimes jog, I deserve a very, very good, great pair of shoes. So I went to invest in myself a bit more. And today was my first day testing the shoes out. At first, it didn't feel that great, but at the end of the walk, I feel like my feet got used to it. And I'm very sensitive when it comes to wearing new shoes and things like that, because I have very, very rough history with very severe knee injuries. I've had like 4 knee operations, and it has changed my physical like frame of my body a lot. So it's a massive challenge for me to get these walks done and all of that. But I feel like the commitment to also training has helped me to strengthen some muscles in my legs and gain some good base for over 2 months before I done my first jogs as well. So another thing that really blew my mind about it is that you feel like you want to jog, and it happens naturally if you committed yourself for over 2 months of walking first. Just forcing yourself, or at least that's how it would be for me, that if I would force myself to start running every day, I would be on a second or third day, I would be like, hell no. It would be unconsciously, I would just find a way out of that, and it just would not happen because I wouldn't feel great doing it. And nobody doesn't want to do the things that they don't feel proud of. But if you've given yourself of like 2 months of winning, you want to like win more, right? So it's like all this good mindset and like growth mindset, rather than avoiding the things that you can't ace, so you don't do them at all. No, I can walk, and even with my sometimes very achy knees, I can walk a little bit. I can walk maybe not so fast, and I can take some breaks, but I can definitely walk 45 minutes a day. And I guess that's where it all comes down to me, which I want to like wrap this up, because I've already shared some pretty big moments that what have been my conclusions and what has been the wisdom that has come through, and the real life-changing like things for me. Because for someone who's had a massive journey with eating and movement and all of that, like this physical health that is tied to your looks and all of that, it's been a huge journey also, like for me, like coming out of my mind into my body, like, and getting out of your mind in the wild woman's world is the bomb. That's what we want to be. We want to be in our body, living in embodied life, understanding how we work, and understanding that how we look is important and empowering, but what needs to empower us more, and where this looking good also bases on is how we feel about ourselves all the time. And this, ladies and gentlemen, more so ladies actually, why we say ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, particularly in the wild woman space. Ladies, what I want to say is cycle is the big key here. And this is another life-changing wisdom I took away from it, which I had that conceptualized wisdom before, and I was very in tune with my cycle before. But now, truly doing this challenge over 2.5 months, I was able to complete over 2 of my cycles throughout that time, and I could see changes in real time, in a way that it was documented pretty much every day, because every day I have the same to-do list to do the same things, but I am not the same woman every day. And I've spoken a lot about, to my clients, I teach this concept of understanding your cycle as seasons. So you have your spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Spring being the time after your period, summer being the time where you are leading up to your ovulation, autumn being the time roughly after your ovulation, and then winter being that restful energy of your bleed time. And I go into quite a big depth into teaching my clients, particularly young women, about the seasons and these different energies that visit you, that you're always going through, in a world where we are taught to be completely same, working like a machine every single day. And for women, this is just not the case. Let me tell you, we wish we would be the same person every day, but we're not. I've always said that men are like the sun. They are like this 24-hour cycle. Women are like the moon. It's like this, like a month-long, like constant change. Every day you're in a different part of your cycle, every day. But what I've noticed particularly is that there are two main energies that kind of visit you, which is the spring summer energy and autumn winter energy, just to make it more simple to understand. In these two different phases of your cycle, it, for me at least, and I've spoken to many women about this, and it makes so much sense to them as well. I've seen it in my work, I've seen it in my own practice. In these two parts of the cycle, you are so different as a woman that even what empowers you, what motivates you, what drives you, what is important to you, what do you like, what do you need, how do you feel about certain things, what do you think about certain things, even that changes so much. It's crazy how much you are a completely different woman throughout this time. And if we're not taking this into account, we can spend a lifetime thinking there's something wrong with us. We can go through our whole fertile time as women. There's most like this vibrant time of our life. Not to say that this vibrancy needs to go down after we hit menopause, but this time where we are in this cycle still, we can be so surprised and beating ourselves down every month. After every so often, we are so surprised that what's wrong with me? I don't feel this, I don't feel that. Last Monday, I went to body pump and I loved it. This Monday, I feel like someone needs to hold a gun to my head to go to it. And we put ourselves down because it looks like the whole world keeps going and we are the ones always behind. But actually, us women, we need to understand our cycle is so important there. You are a different woman. And how it used to be in certain cultures and certain tribes like centuries ago, that women would all menstruate together as a group. And this was the time where we would go into this, let's call it, we would, kind of go into a cave and go inwards. We were separated from this rest of the kind of society, rest of the constant life. We were kind of coming together, sitting around the fire, doing the things that we want to do, sharing stories, passing on wisdom. And it was this time when women were really connected to each other and to themselves. It said, when you go into the spirituality of your cycle, it said everywhere, like where you read about it, that your bleed time is where you are closest to yourself. And I feel it's so true because we're emotional. We are more like going inwards during this time. And as much as possible, I think as women, we could accommodate more to that cycle that is our bodies naturally have to do, because otherwise, again, we leave our body alone just to do that, and we are kind of mean to it as well, and kind of like, why? Okay, it's that time of the month again. Well, good luck. I'm gonna feel like hell, and not actually supporting the body more with it. So going forward, I want to sink way more things to my cycle than I was before. And I feel paradoxically that will smooth out my life more and help out my cycle more. And I don't feel I'm like thrown around by it so much. So I can pretty much be more energetic throughout the whole cycle. And there's so much to be looked into it when it comes to like the foods and your diet, your exercise, and all of that. And I don't want to paint a picture here that women are these inconsistent humans that cannot absolutely commit to a goal. No, we can, but we also have to understand, if that's our thing, that our cycle is creating like different chemical composition of hormones, different cocktail of hormones in us, and hormones run the show. And us trying to override it every month would cause a lot of resistance, a lot of heartache, and a lot of like flat energy and feeling like, I don't know how I'm meant to overcome this. And then once your bleed starts, you start to feel kind of like the emotions start to go away and all of this starts to dissolve again, and you start to feel like you again, and it's forgotten until it hits you again next month. And we don't need to be in this cycle of like being beaten down and beating ourselves down. We can work with it. right? Because it's so wild, natural part of ourselves. Let's get to know ourselves on that level and actually ask ourselves, what do we need? And you might think here, like, no one has time for that. How am I going to do this? Well, I feel like all the things we do in sync with ourselves, in sync with our wild nature, is actually giving us more time back. It's actually supporting us and giving us more energy in the long run. And all of these practices that are taking you closer to yourself, your eating, your fluid intake, your mindset work, your energy work, it can take time and commitment. But doing some in the long run is helpful than doing none because you're not currently on some sort of program, or now going all out on trashing yourself because you deserve it, because you went through a rough time or whatever. It's such a push and pull energy, and we constantly confuse our system and our body and take our health granted, to be frank. And I needed to learn that for sure. And now realizing this, that how important is our mindset, and thinking about all of this, how we relate to ourselves is so, so, so important. I think like there's nothing more important than understanding there's ultimately no right or wrong way, but there's a respectful way by you, by your body, by your health, by your mind, and understanding that we don't have to be a slave to our habits and just believe everything our mind tells us. The more and more I do the inner work, mindset work, energetic healing, and my own journey teaches me all the time that our mind narrates the story to us all the time. There's no gap between our thoughts sometimes, and we believe that we know who we are. We believe that we know what we're capable of. We believe that we are set in our ways and we have it worked out. But if we truly tune in, there's so much we can benefit from if we truly start to listen to all of us, our minds, our emotions, our energy, our body, our organs, like all of them, they have a story to tell. And if you ask your body, like, how does it feel to be Hannah's body, for example, your body would tell a story that would knock your socks off. So it's my goal now, with that maturity and kindness and love, to be a good team leader, not just a slave to my emotions, slave to my daily habits, and be stuck in these habits and kind of fight more for my right to eat rubbish and be lazy and not support myself. And it is feeling very different at this time around, that I am not just feeling like this, oh my gosh, I'm doing this thing for 2 weeks and that was so good, I lost a kilo. No, it feels like more profound. It's deeper than that. It's like this true care that I had behind this challenge that I took on. And I really tried to also think that I am challenging myself, so I'm doing it even if I don't feel like, because that is the reality of it. Now I have this more of a habit. Yeah, in the morning, as my husband goes to work, I jump off the bed, feed my dogs and go for a walk. And it's now like a habit, but it doesn't mean that I always walk there with like, yay, look at me go, I love this walking. Today, like, I feel like first 15 minutes, like I was listening to this podcast and I kind of, like, the first 15 minutes went fast, but when I checked the timer, I was like, ugh, only 15 minutes is gone. I have still half an hour to walk in that steamy hot weather, and then it started to pour rain but then you warm up and you actually find the bounce in your step, and I went way longer than 45 minutes. So riddle me that. First, you don't really feel like it's a right thing for you to do it at the moment, but after you do way more than you thought. So how is this going to work out? Because that's the essence here. We need to understand what is the actual guidance from within, our actual truth, rather than what is sometimes the initial resistance that feels like truth, or you want to believe that this is like truth. Same with eating habits. It feels like, what is empowering to you? What do you want to eat? It feels like I have a craving. I should listen to my body and then satisfy that craving. But my body craves salted caramel milk chocolate every day. But at the same time, I need to understand that, okay, I have that little bit of chocolate, but I don't need to kill half the bar, right? Because that stimulates me in a way that I don't like. It creates another load somewhere else that I need to compensate for, or I need to lose energy for, or something like this. It's just not going to work. And I feel like if we actually come into this truth of ourselves, that is underneath the emotional mindset programming, what we've been marketed to, what we've been brainwashed to believe about ourselves, that you always have to eat like humongous amounts of protein and like whatever we've been sold to, that this is underneath all of these layers, there is some sort of wisdom and inner knowing that is you. That is the essence of you, that is connected to something way more primal than we want to believe we are. And that's the thing that doesn't like lead us down the wrong path. This is the thing that you might be surprised how far it can be from like the overall knowledge. Again, I refer back to my training, like being a nutritionist, what we have been taught in a nutritionist course, it leaves a lot to, let's say, your own discretion, let's put it that way, that you have to, what you're legally allowed to tell people now that you're a nutritionist and what you actually would want to tell them might not always sync up. And there is also a little hint here why I prefer to call myself a coach rather than something else that would refer to something way more, I don't know, conventional. So yes, I am definitely all about intuition, and that type of intuition that is pure from even your own BS. Knowing myself, I have had a ton of the BS I need to work through and need to have that internal strength and that spark and drive and motivation that is based on my own health, based on my own kindness, love, respect to myself, that has taken years work to actually years of work to get to this point of like emotional maturity to be able to conduct myself in that way. I'm not going to say it's an easy process, but it's a process that is so worth it. Oh my gosh, it's so worth it. It's incredible. So yeah, I don't want to stretch this podcast into this hours and hours and hours long of speech, but my conclusions are, I want to be juicy, energetic version of me rather than skinny version of me. There's such a vast difference for me. I want to be healthy and glowing inside and out. I want to know that I am just a very good team leader for the team of me. That's my conclusion. I want to feel strong and full of energy. And I want to know that I am treating myself with kindness and love. I want to emanate this to others and be kind of the source of this for myself. And I want to be the high maintenance woman that meets my own needs. That's one thing that has changed a lot during the 75 Hard as well. I've discovered that I'm such a high maintenance woman. I have sometimes more appointments for myself with other people than I have in my business for my clients. So it's like, actually, I'm like so proud of that. And I'm getting my lashes done, my nails done, my hair done. I'm going out to these different events that I'm trying out. I'm going for, training very soon to learn about vibrational healing. And I'm investing into myself a lot. I'm having my sessions shoes with different people that I trust and I enjoy, like to keep myself like constantly growing and evolving. And I'm taking it in this very different energy, and it feels amazing. And I want to play the long game instead of like this all or nothing attitude. Like at the moment I'm doing no challenge, so I drop everything. No, that's not the vibe either. If I'm not keeping count and my fitness pal is not keeping count for my calories or my food, my body keeps count and my body does not switch off. My energy does not lie. I can't override it. I want to work with it, and I want to be this woman that is really achieving it all. And so yes, I'm setting myself like high standards, but I'm setting myself also up very like a liquid journey. Let's call it that, because I want it all, but I'm very flexible how it comes to me, and in learning it all truly at my own pace. I can't jump past any things I need to learn along the way, and this has been teaching me a lot. And now I keep going with my new shoes, with my new outfits, and I am loving it. I already keep an eye on the new challenges I want to take on. And there's first, for example, I want to learn a little bit more about fasting. This is something that I was completely against in my bodybuilding years, and it makes sense as well. It's just never would have probably fitted into my world. I was already in very low calories, and then coming to a full stop even for like a 24-hour fast would have been very unimaginable for me. But now I want to like look more into the cycle. I want to do more research about that, and just get like, I already hold a lot of wisdom and knowledge and understanding about these things, but I want to deepen it all. I want to keep deepening it all for myself, for my clients. And that's where my next steps lie. And for my own cycle wisdom as well, I want to probably start doing some like 1-day fasts or things like that. That would fit nicely into my summer energy. And finally, I want to mention the gratitude of that voice, whatever whispered into my head that, Hannah, you should do 75 hard, because how that initial voice whispered this to me felt like a spiritual guidance. And I'm very proud of myself that I listened to it and went for it straight away. That was exactly the reset I needed. This was the wisdom I needed. This was the embodiment I needed, the understanding about myself I needed. It's incredible to think I didn't need to sign up to anything. Didn't need to pay anyone any money, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like a lot of my life-changing journeys has been with some sort of group program, or the program I have led for other women, or the circles I'm doing, or some sort of work that I have kind of done with someone else, but this was from me to me with me. And it just blows my mind like how your own commitment, your own awareness can change so much for yourself, and particularly if you are supported from the outside as well, like not for the challenge but for other purposes, other reasons. I was constantly supported by many people actually who I worked with constantly, and on the background I did a pretty massive group coaching program as well with one of my coaches, and I keep working on these things as well. This is all to do with energy and emotions and mindset that always have to work together. One cannot override the other. And so in the background, a lot of things I've been doing as well, and constantly investing into myself that have supported me on this journey. But finally, I want to also thank that little wolf pack that I created. That accountability with other women was a huge part of this as well. And congratulations to everyone who extracted their own wisdom from this journey. And I'm just so proud of myself, and I'm so proud of the journey I've had. And now, especially in 2025 already, one of my goals has been to just feel more pride with this like calmness and peace in my body, because my childhood, definitely being proud of yourself was something that was seen very negative, and seen something that only like this really greedy, like that's what the bad guy in the fairy tale is doing. They're always so proud and like it's all about me, 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 me. But no, wild woman energy is about respect, love, kindness, pride that you show about yourself, for yourself. And it's like this living in tune with yourself, your needs, and taking pride in fulfilling these needs. And that, for me, what this journey has been, is very far from, if you would look up like what is 75 Hard Challenge in a traditional way and what it could be if you use your inner wisdom, your intuition to extract the wisdom and be proud of yourself and own everything. Own the days when you didn't do it, and let this owning in, letting this in, that yes, I didn't do it and it's okay. I can move on still with pride. The fact that you didn't tick everything off your list that day doesn't lessen your worth, doesn't lessen your effort, doesn't lessen the wisdom you can gain from it, doesn't lessen your value, your abilities in no shape or form. You are divine. Nothing can make you, nothing you do or not do cannot make you less or more of that. We are all sacred beings, and our practices need to align with that sacredness every day. And this is the note where I would like to wrap it up. I'm sure I forgot to say so many things. I will keep saying, like, keep speaking about it, what comes up for me. And in all transparency, this is I think my second or third time recording this podcast episode, particularly for that purpose of speaking about 75 Hard and what this journey has been to me. And I feel like this is the one I'm going to post. It just has taken me time to digest it all and being able to speak about it in a way that is like feels good to me, that I am like proud to present to all of you as well. And not to say that what I already recorded wasn't good, but it helped me to process it in my head. And I feel like now I feel so, it's just the energy feels different. And and also like sometimes it's good to give yourself another go and actually, try again if you feel like you want to try again and give it another shot. So all of it is perfect. We need to really switch to this understanding that like you really cannot lose. You really cannot fail. All you can do is win after win, and you can learn after lesson after lesson after lesson, which in my books is a massive win. You can learn so much more on these days where you don't feel like doing and you get to the bottom of your truth than on these days when everything's perfect and goes exactly what you expected. It's the unexpected truth. It's the unexpected wisdom lessons that we need to stay open to and in general like receptive to, and understanding ourselves as this holistic woman, though truly this wild woman, and embodying that so deeply. That's where it's at, this true wild woman way, where you can do the modern life on your terms, with love and kindness in your heart, with respect towards yourself in your heart. Thank you so much, dear wild woman, tuning into this podcast episode. I thank you for witnessing my journey, and I'm proud to witness yours. If you would like to work with me, get in touch. If you have questions, want me to elaborate on anything, please reach out. I would love to hear from you. And thank you so much being part of this space here as well. You are part of the journey. You are part of the tribe. And I thank you for being part of the tribe. Much love to you all.